Good morning. My name is Dr. Shurov. I'm a neuroscientist, nutrition and health coach, and I love to share with you some successful stories from the parents who've been able to fight autism and help their children achieve the maximum potential in their life. We know that it's possible today, and I really would like you to hear again and again those stories which will inspire and motivate you in your not very easy journey. So I've got very special guest today. She's extremely busy lady. She is, got very busy schedule, and I'm so glad that she could find a few minutes to share her remarkable story with the English-speaking audience in Europe. I'm talking about Senta Depuydt, and she is really well-known autism fighter in Europe, especially in the French-speaking part. And again, Senta, welcome to to our chat today, this morning. I'm pleased that you could make a few minutes. So please tell our audience about yourself, about your story, about your remarkable recovery of your fantastic son, please.
Well, thank you for having me and Dr. Shurov, because I think it is really important. It's the first time I speak out, my story in English. So yes, I think it's really important to share these stories. And my son's story, Matteo, is a little special in many ways. So Matteo was born, normal pregnancy, normal birth, child developing very well. And I must mention vaccines, of course. I mean, anyway, it's the question that will rise up. So
this is a part of your story. That's very important. Yeah.
So when he was like 6 months, the first sets of vaccines, we did the DTP, Tetravac it was called. And so this first set of vaccines, he got very high fever after a couple of days, and he was really a bit like, lifeless in my arms and not reacting anymore. And I was surprised by the strong reaction. So it happened again at the next, the next visit with the next shot. And then, together with the pediatrician, we decided we would just stop it there because, he was reacting so strongly. So it wasn't like pushing, and we've been very cautious. And for the rest after that, those episodes, so twice, very high fever, very ill for several days. And okay, I had the impression he was doing okay. Mm-hmm. So after that, until he developed really pretty well, met all his milestones, sitting, standing, babbling, until, 1.5, 2 years, he was really fine, easy baby, and then and in the meantime, I have to say, right after birth, I had several tooth decay. Okay. And they placed 6 amalgams. Okay. So I think the mercury compound, was very important in his specific case. Mm. So it all started when he had, when they have the recall, the boosters, and I said we're gonna be, just discussing this with the doctor. We said, okay, we're gonna do just one isolated tetanus and one isolated polio apart from each other, from in 2 or 3 weeks apart, to keep it really safe. And unfortunately, right after that, he started to have chronic problems. He didn't have the high fever as the first time, so I thought, it's been okay. But right after that, he started developing a lot of chronic symptoms, especially ear infections, recurrent ear infections. Okay. His behavior started to change. And we thought, very oppositional, waking up every night, several times. So we didn't really get what was going on. We thought, it's just, a coincidence, ear infections. But after we dealt with it, and it took us several months, he still, he still was regressing. So it took us, it was a long regression for maybe about over a year. But after, at the end of the year, even when his ear problems were cured, he had just, he had lost all speech, where he has had like maybe 100, he had 150 words, or he was really developing very normal and
Okay.
I wouldn't say precocious, but almost. We had no eye contact whatsoever. He didn't comply with everything, with anything. He didn't obey. He didn't play. He didn't interact. All we had was screaming and kicking and headbanging. Every frustration was headbanging. He woke up like 6 to 8 times every night. He was hiding. There was just no communication, and I thought he really, sometimes I had the impression he just didn't understand what we were saying to him. So for over a year, for example, in school, he had never interacted with another child. He was just standing, every morning when I drove him to school, he was just screaming. And then when he got there, he couldn't take his clothes off. He didn't want to. Then he started headbanging for half an hour. And it was just like that until I was coming to pick him up at the end of the day, every day of the year.
And he was the first child, so you really didn't
No, he's my second
have another example as such. So
he was my second child.
Second child, okay.
My second boy.
Okay.
It's usually the first child, because often I think the children also get a lot of toxic load from the mother.
Yes. Yeah.
But I think it was those amalgams fillings also right after birth, because 6, and I was breastfeeding.
Yes, of course.
I think the thing is that it was through breast milk. That part of it you cannot prove, of course. It could have
prove, but we've got enough data now that it can play quite a significant role.
And at the time, the theories here, especially in France and Belgium, and if you have some other, people who live in these countries here in Europe, psychoanalysis and all the really psychiatric approach to autism is still very strong. And it didn't make sense to me at the time of the diagnosis, because at some point we really had to realize, okay, something's really wrong here. And especially he couldn't even say yes or no, He wanted something and he would.
Yeah.
At one point, I really understood that he was not able to speak. Because for a long time, it's okay, he refuses to speak. And since he had been speaking, you would say, okay, well, it's just he doesn't want to. Yeah. But he really lost that ability. I think neurological, something happened in his brain. He was just not capable of speaking anymore. And the day I understood that, I really thought, okay, he will have some real issue. And so after the diagnosis, I have... all my life, I have been in this environment of psychology. My mother was a professor at university in child psychology, and clinical child psychology and pathology, and a psychoanalyst.
Wow.
And myself, I had done 7 years of psychoanalysis before getting married and having children. It didn't make sense to me, and I was really lost. And then my husband found the Autism Research Institute, some videos and testimonials, and we watched them just like, we're doing this now. And we thought, okay, well, would there be an issue really with this? I really sincerely did not believe a word of it, but I thought if there's 1 chance in a million, I still have to grab it. And that's what everyone says, you just want to try it. And
this is very important. I really would like you even repeat it really loudly for everyone. If you've got very slim chance, grab it.
Just try it,
Yes, Yes,
don't
go
lose
for it.
anything.
Yeah.
You don't lose anything trying it.
Absolutely.
The diet's not dangerous. I mean,
Absolutely.
So we, I thought, we're just gonna try it. I don't believe in it. 48 hours, just with the basic stuff, the gluten-free, casein-free, soy-free diet. I don't talk of more complicated.
Yeah.
We had eye contact back in 48 hours.
Wow.
And yes, that was really, because we never had, not a second of eye contact before that. And so we thought, well, maybe there is something to this. And in 3 weeks' time, he stopped headbanging. Behavior, his behavior was really much better, not so aggressive as it used to be. He was also, kicking a lot.
Yeah.
And everyone noticed, even in school, they said, he's much better, much quieter, and so positive change for everyone. And at that point, I thought, maybe we have to investigate and go on.
So you had first results which motivated you really to look a little bit deeper and going further, and you suddenly realized, okay, positive change is possible.
Yeah, exactly. And I went back to this famous, person, and who said, but with your background in all of this, you cannot take this seriously. It's all, no, your child, he's going to be like that forever, and you just have to accept it. And, you cannot accept it. He needs to go to special school and I looked at that moment, I thought, well, you know what? I'm not gonna say I'm gonna stay.
Yes, of course, but you probably had a very descriptive words for this person at that.
And I wrote a letter and I said, I'm very sorry. Maybe I'm gonna come back and cry and say, I was sorry, I was wrong.
But at that point,
I really need to go and investigate and try it out. I'm very sorry. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
So then we had the contact with a doctor in the USA. And then she said, I've got 2 news for you. The bad news is your child has all these issues. And they were mostly a lot of nutritional deficiencies, vitamins, mineral, fatty acid, oxidative stress, strep infections, and then a lot of toxic metals, basically almost everything you can, 2/3 of everything you can try to analyze.
But that's also good news, because then you know what you're supposed to do.
The good news is that I'm sure that your child is going to be better when we do something about it.
Absolutely.
And to us, she said, I think we can aim full recovery, which is very brave for a doctor to
wow, say. This is really, yeah.
But she said she couldn't say that for every child that she was meeting. She said, okay, so this is the good news. We're going to do something about it. And she said, these are all the issues we're going to have to treat. And number one issue, your number one target is 1 regular bowel movement every day.
Yes.
Forget about the rest. Forget about the metals.
This is the beginning, because it's not working, so we can't do too much.
You're not chelating, detoxing metals, whatever, if you don't have,
This is very good point. This is exactly what I tell people when I start to consult, because this is the first thing to fix, honestly.
Yes.
Then the rest comes next.
Exactly. So from that point, very quickly we started introducing about maybe 15 and then 20, then maybe 25 different supplements.
But what is the important, that you had a strategy, you already had a plan, the therapist told you that it's possible, there is definitely positive progress, you were really believe into right now, and you just went.
Yeah, we went on, like my kitchen turned into a pharmacy.
Yes.